What's going on, everybody? Hope you are having a great week so far. Before we get into the podcast, we have just announced a tour, New Generation Tour. You can win tickets, or you can win a bunch of tickets. You can win 2 flights to LA, 2 nights in a hotel to come to my LA show at Exchange. Also, you can... what else can you win? You can win tickets to... I've kind of gone lost on my own competition. You can win tickets to the whole tour. All you need to do is go onto link or lnk.2-searchin-comp, lnk.2/searchin-comp, and you can kind of get all the details from there. So, without further ado, it's podcast time. Monica Aksamit. Monica is a bronze medalist Olympic fencer. I got put in touch with her from a good friend of mine called Chris Pierce. I was really interested in having her on the podcast because anybody that can compete at Olympic level in their sport is going to be an interesting conversation. The dedication that it takes to be that good is something that I can't even comprehend in my brain. So I managed to get her on, and it was an amazing conversation. I feel like we could have probably talked for 2-3 hours, but it was really solid, really, really good. And I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy. Monica, we're live. How's it going?
Great. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thanks for doing this. I got put onto you by one of my best mates, Chris Pierce.
I love him.
He's the best. How do you know him?
So he didn't tell you the story?
No, he hasn't told me anything. He just texted me and was like, "You need to get Monica on the podcast." I was like, "Okay, sick." And I was like, "Who's Monica?" And he was like, "Well, this is what she's done, blah blah blah." I'm like, "I'm down. This sounds amazing."
So her story's kind of funny. So he was a photographer all over New York for all the different clubs.
Yeah.
And it was the night of Red Foo at Lavo. And so I went out with a promoter.
Yeah.
This is like when I would go out to clubs. Why? I don't know. But
What year was this?
I wish I could tell you. This is before the Olympics, so maybe like 2014, 2015, sometime in that area. And so Lavo's packed. You've been to Lavo, I assume.
I've only been once with Chris.
Club, yeah, the smallest club in the world. Like, there's tables everywhere, so you have like little to no room, period.
Yeah.
God forbid you have a big performer like Red Foo. So everybody was out partying, and somehow my best friend and I, we pushed through into the front, and I had my glass from the table that I was at. And we were dancing around, and Red Foo's people were pouring I think tequila in people's mouths. So I opened up my mouth and I had my cup up, and all of a sudden my hand gets heavier, and I was like, "Oh, great! I have lukewarm tequila in my cup. What can I do?" You literally cannot get out. So I was like, "Well, I guess I'm just gonna drink this. What am I gonna do? I hate tequila. I black out every time I drink tequila." And that's what happened that night. Then Red Foo's people dragged us into their table. They had like a roped off section. The last few things that I do remember, Red Foo was feeding this girl, it was like 2 a.m., salmon with his bare hands. We like met as we're watching him like pick salmon off the plate and like put it in her mouth. We're all like,
it's a bit gross.
This is rough. And then the next day I woke up and my friend filled me in on everything that happened. And then I was like going through the photos at Lavo, and I think it was a photo there. It was on my phone. Maybe it was on my phone of me kissing this guy's cheek. Maybe that's how it was. I think it was like on my phone. I was kissing this guy's cheek and he's holding a camera. And I was like, "Oh shit, is this like the Lavo photographer?" And I went through the photo album, and I somehow I think like it had the Chris's like name as the title, and I clicked on it. I was like, "Oh shit, it's that guy." So I DM'd him. I was like, "So sorry for violating your cheek. I don't know what else I did." But he's like, "No, I loved it." He's like, "Usually people want to punch me." He's like, "And you just like grabbed my face and kissed me on the cheek." And I was like, "Cool, all right." And then we became friends.
That's a solid meeting. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
but that makes me happy. I love Chris. He's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best.
He's awesome. I love him.
Also a very good photographer.
Yes, also true.
Have you spoke to him recently?
We like briefly we catch up every once in a while.
He's in New York at the moment. He's got the vid. He caught COVID like a couple of days ago.
Oh shit.
And
I didn't know he was in New York.
Yeah, he was doing some like Red Bull thing, and he was supposed to be moving back to the UK like 4 days ago, and then he literally got the like COVID test to go back to the UK, and then they were like, yeah, you're positive.
Whoops.
Sorry. It's not good. Anyway, how's life?
Yeah.
So I guess I want to get into it. I was doing a bit of research on you beforehand, and I was like, so bronze Olympic medalist 2016. You also have a podcast called On the Fence, and you also do modeling. Let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Like, I want to know how, like, fencing, it's a cool sport, but it's so random, if I'm honest. Like, for me, like, it is a very random sport. How the hell did you get into fencing? And I know this is like you've probably answered this question so many times, but I don't know you, so I want to get the boring stuff out of the way. But it might not be boring.
It's like the most asked question I've answered it.
Probably, yeah. So I apologize.
I think more often than what's my name at this point. So my family's Polish, and my mom was working at a Polish bank. And my first fencing coach was also Polish, and he was a client there, and he would talk about fencing all the time, how it was a great scholarship opportunity, blah, blah, blah. And my mom she's fresh off the boat. And she's like, obviously the American dream of, my daughter going to an amazing college would be great. So she kind of was sold on that path. I was 8 or 9. We kind of debate on this and when I really started, but she brought me into practice, and they handed me a sword, and they said, hit the other kid. And I remember being very confused. I was like, wait, seems like a trick. You're not supposed to hit people. And they're like, no, like go and hit him on the head. Okay, they're saying to do it, why not? And I hit them, everybody applauded me, and then the rest is history. I mean, what kid doesn't dream of hitting other kids? Now I get to hit adults, so
even better.
Easy.
Even better.
Yeah.
I guess you enjoyed it, or still enjoy it.
Yeah. The deeper you get into things, I think you enjoy them a little bit less because you understand a lot more things that are going on. I mean, there's a lot of politics that go on in sports. I mean, if you've seen various documentaries, I've recently watched Bad Sport, and it's they didn't do one on fencing, but it's all accurate. There's a lot of corruption, unfortunately. People wanting to be the best, and sometimes they can't do it on their own. So they have the money and the means to get help to do that. So that is unfortunate. It is very costly, which sucks. I've fundraised for Rio and for Tokyo. It's like around like 15,000 a year with travel and equipment and all that stuff. So those parts suck. The actual fencing is amazing. I love it. It's so cool because it's ever changing. It's not like, okay, you learn a craft and you can just repeat it and it becomes boring. Like, it's challenging every single day. Every single practice is different. Every single competition is different. So while you like might be the best in the world, you're not going to be the best every day.
No, of course. And it's I guess it's like any sport, isn't it? Someone's always trying to beat you. So you can be the best, but realistically, it just depends on the day you wake up. Someone might kick your ass, and
exactly.
What's it like? I know a bit about the Olympics, obviously over the years, and followed it. But correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't get paid to be in the Olympics, right?
No, you only get paid depending on your country for medals, and some countries don't pay at all. Some countries pay a lot. Some countries don't.
Does America?
I actually did a TikTok that blew up about this because they changed it for Tokyo, but for Rio it was 25,000 for gold, 15,000 for silver, 10,000 for bronze. And before it used to be taxed, and they changed that before Rio.
It's such bullshit that you don't get paid.
Yep. And people were arguing with me, and they're like,
Fuck
well,
them.
then don't do it if you're not getting paid. Like, if you're doing it for the money, why are you doing it? I was like, I'm sorry. Do you not work for money?
Yeah.
Do you work? Do you go to work because you enjoy work, or do you go because you have to pay the bills? Because if we were all doing what we wanted to do and we're making money, none of us would be fucking working. Let's be honest.
Yeah. It's something that I like. It doesn't make sense to me because coming from the UK, like college sports in the UK is like not a big thing over here. So
Yeah.
like when I first came to America, everyone was like, "Oh, what college team do you support?" I'm like, "What the fuck? Like we don't have people playing
Right.
sports at universities and things like that." And then I found out that it's like a huge business, and then they don't even earn money. And I know it's just recently changed, but why? Like, how do you survive? Like, because you live in New York, like we all know New York's one of the most expensive places in the world. Like, how like, and it's not like you have time because you have to train all the time.
Right. And as everybody's answer was get a job. And I was like, so
Fuck you.
do you want me to be a losing athlete with a
Yeah.
job, or do you want me to be a winning athlete that needs to fundraise?
Yeah.
Pick one. I unfortunately cannot do both.
Mm,
So I've unfortunately or fortunately, I found jobs.
mm,
So coaching pays good money.
yeah.
So I was coaching for a bit. I ref on the weekends, which is literally what I just did.
Mhm.
Because that also pays well. I've been given a platform after Rio.
I just noticed your dog in the background. I thought you had like a Dalmatian spotted like blanket, and then realized it moved, and it's your dog.
Yes, he's very upset because he hates when I give someone else attention, not
Yeah,
him. So,
that's all good.
yeah. So, coaching, refing. I did some kind of like promotional modeling stuff. Now I've been given a platform, so like content creation pays money. But it's just kind of always been rough because I work and I spend that money on fencing. And it's like, you're seeing your friends working, getting higher up in their careers, going on vacations, buying cars, buying houses, and you're like, yeah, I live in a shoebox.
Yeah,
That's where
I guess the one thing that you have over, and I don't know, I'm only speaking from my own experience, is that it's similar in music to a certain extent. It gets to a certain level where you can start earning money, but for God knows how many years you don't earn a single penny. But we are doing what we absolutely love, and I think there's so many people like. Money is great. Money does make the world go around, but waking up every day and being like, I fucking love what I do is so much better than everything else in the grand scheme of things.
No,
But
I definitely agree with you. The only thing is like the stress of paying bills. Like there's been so many times where I literally would be awake at night because I'm like, I really don't know how I'm going to pay rent for next month. So that's the aspect that sucks. Otherwise, like, yeah, I mean, being able to go out and compete and travel the world and just testing myself physically, mentally, emotionally every single day. Which doesn't sound fun, but it is really fun when it comes to fencing. It's amazing.
Yeah. How often? What's your like training schedule like? Because I love training. I love like being fit and healthy, but I couldn't even imagine what it's like being like a professional athlete. Like, is it 7 days a week or is it not like that?
So it's not supposed to be 7 days a week, but you're talking to the wrong person. I'm allergic to not doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually have a fractured vertebrae
Wow.
because I didn't understand the concept of rest days. So I always had to do something every single day of the week. And I remember my personal trainer would like ripped me apart and he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, no, I'm working really hard. Like I work every day. And he's like, no, you're kidding me. And I was like, what? Why are you upset? Like I'm literally working out every single day. And he's like, oh God, like, you need to take a rest. Like you're making this worse. And I was like, how is me working out every day worse for my body?
Yeah.
And he's like, Jesus Christ. And then like a few months later, I had pain in my back and we had an MRI and I had a fractured vertebrae. So I learned my lesson. I hate it.
How did you fracture it?
Just overtraining. Like
really?
I just wouldn't. I would lift and I would do cardio and I would do fencing and I would lift. Yeah.
Okay.
I was in the best shape of my life.
Yeah, I bet. But a fucked back.
Yeah, for the rest of my life. So that's fun.
So is it not? Will it not heal like fully, or is it always?
No, and they didn't tell me that for a year.
How much?
So it happened right before the Olympics. So first of all, they didn't even tell me it was a fracture. They kept trying to be like using fancy terms. They're like, "Oh yeah, it's like a pars." And I was like, "Oh cool, yeah, pars,
Great.
Love that." Okay, like I collect one, and they're like, "Yeah, like we'll give you some steroids for pain and all that stuff." And I was like, "Cool." And then I had to take like 10 weeks off afterwards because I mean they told me like in Memorial Day weekend pretty much. And Olympics we were competing in August. They're like, well, you need to take 8 weeks off. And I was like, yeah. Got it.
That's not
Not
going to
doing that.
happen.
So I made it even worse. And then a year later, I was getting therapy and I was like, yeah, my back hurts sometimes. Like I had a pars, and she's like, you have a pars. And I was like, had, had. You didn't hear me, had. And she's like, no, no, no. Once you have a pars fracture, you always have one. They don't heal. And I was like,
Oh, great.
that's cool.
What is it with doctors and just like, especially in America, they're just shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's so weird to me how the like medical system here works. And
Yeah. Well, honestly, none of us really understand it. So it's like you pay a lot of money for insurance, and then nothing happens, and then something happens, and then you pay more money also. And then God forbid you don't have insurance, you're still paying money.
And then you don't get what you actually pay for.
Yeah.
I literally have like a bill here. I went to like the ER like a couple of months ago, and I have a bill here for like $3,000. I'm like, are you serious? Like I was in the waiting room longer than I was seeing the doctor.
Do you know that they charge you $75 to hold your newborn baby?
What?
Yes. So I went through it during COVID. We had a lot of time. So my roommates and I went through like the crazy charges, and it's like $15 for like a Tylenol. It's like $80 for them to turn on the lights. For a tissue, you're paying like, I don't know, like also $15 or something. It's crazy. But yeah, when I remember I read it, like once you give birth, when they put the baby on you, you get like the first contact, you're paying $75 for that.
Jesus.
So I'm gonna try to do that if I ever have kids and be like, no, I'm gonna have this kid for the rest of my life. I don't need to hold it right now. You save it. You save that money. Tomorrow when I leave the hospital, I'll hold that baby for free.
That is wild. It's just a money making thing.
Yep.
It's mad. It's really mad. So leading up to Olympics, are you still competing now, by the way?
So I'm trying to decide. It's like I said, there's a lot of factors that are just a little rough, and it is 3 years, and that makes it the most appealing. Like that 1 year that I don't have to do it helps. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I'm starting finally like financially stable. Yeah. And if I'd start training again, I would be back to being unstable.
Yeah.
And just the corruption. Like I was talking to somebody yesterday of like, there's matches that you walk out and you already know you lost. There's nothing you can do and you already lost. And I'm paying $15,000 a year to be a part of that.
So do you have to pay $15,000 a year to be a fencer? To be part of the organization?
To travel to these competitions, like registration, fees, visas, transportation, et cetera, flights, hotels. So to go to all these competitions, it's like around, depending on where the competitions are, it's like around 15,000.
Are they all based in America or?
Nope. No, all over the world.
Who's the most corrupt?
You know the answer to that.
Russia.
You said it, not me.
Yeah. Why? What is it about that? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It makes complete sense to me, but it's like, what do people gain from it when they're just cheating?
So supposedly, I don't know this firsthand experience, but I've heard this, that there's people betting millions of dollars on fencing competitions.
Yeah.
And first of all, why?
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that.
Why? Literally, why? What? I don't get it. But because of these very rich people betting, I walk out on the strip and I already lost. So it's like, also, not only they're betting, but they're betting on fake results.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Which is weird, because how do you cheat in fencing? Or is it like the referees that are being paid off, or is it the other? Because going back to that Bad Sport like documentary on Netflix, where they were kind of paying the players to in the basketball to like make sure that there's only a lead of 6 and things like that. Is that something that you can do in fencing? I don't really understand the whole sport, if I'm totally honest with you.
Nobody does. No, I'm just kidding. So the unfortunate thing with our sport is the refereeing is very objective. Subjective.
We know what you mean. It's fine. I don't know what the right one is.
One of those. So it's like, and then also there can be like a point that happens and 3 people can be standing and watching, and all 3 people have a different opinion.
Yeah.
Some things are very concrete when you're like, no, that was definitely that person's point. But some of them, like I said, are a little like it's all up into the referee. So we have lights. So the only thing the lights tell you are if you made contact in time. So you have a certain period of time where you can hit somebody. So it can say, okay, so if it's one light for you, we know it's your point. But if it's two lights, the referee basically gets to decide what's going on.
Okay.
And then it's all mental also. So if a referee in a crucial moment makes a bad call, it'll mess with your head.
Yeah.
And then you're going to lose anyway.
I was literally just watching you fence.
Okay.
I can't remember. Let me pull it up. Oh, I don't have it anymore. It was like 2019. You were is it called fencing? It is called fencing.
You were fencing somebody,
yeah. You were fencing. Her surname was Mohammed. I can't remember. In 2019, it's on YouTube. When like you'd stopped and then you did like a box thing.
Video challenge.
Okay, so is that similar to what the referee does in other sports where you're asking to see what happened?
Yeah, so they do a replay. So it also depends on. So you can have. So it's also interesting because you have like a power dynamic between the referees, and you also have like the referees know also. Yeah. So some referees get pushed out if they're not part of the cheating, or there have been 2 people that died at tournaments in strange ways. So yeah, well, we can get into that off the podcast. I'm genuinely kind of afraid for my life sometimes when I talk about this. Yeah. So
we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, well, like when people don't hear, we'll talk about this. We'll go into more detail. But
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's rough. So they're also like if you can have a weaker referee reffing, and then the higher up referee will be on video, and then like the weaker referee will come over, and the higher guy's like, no, we're gonna stand by that call, or like, no, we're gonna switch it. Or there's certain referees, the ones that do make calls in favor of other countries. Your video challenge means nothing. Like will do video challenge and they walk over, they don't even look at the screen, and then they turn back around. So like with those referees, you don't even bother.
Fucking fencing.
Yep.
Why did you choose this sport?
Well, because I was 8 and I didn't know. Now, if you told me when I was 8, I would have been like, cool, this sounds shitty.
Awful.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing anything else?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a mermaid. I found out that wasn't possible.
Solid job choice.
Yeah, I grew out of that idea. I did want to be a doctor, but then I realized people die, and I have to be a part of that. And also, medical school costs a fortune.
And you got to be part of the American medical system, which is terrible.
See, that too. That one I somehow understood at the age of 8. And also,
which is scary that you understand that at 8.
Right?
Really scary.
I was like, probably not for me.
Yeah.
And then paying off bills until like you're 50 something, also not fun. I wanted to be a vet, but then I also realized I would have to deal with animals dying, and that's even worse than people dying.
Okay. Yeah.
And then fencing kind of took off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so sad to hear, because obviously from the outside, like the whole Olympic sport thing, the whole somebody doing a sport that they absolutely love, and then to hear that there's so many politics. Like in music, for example, there's politics in music, but it's bullshit politics compared to that. Like no one's getting hurt, nothing like that, really.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing that happens in music potentially is when artists are just like have terrible record deal. Well, every record deal is terrible, but terrible management, terrible team that are just working them to the ground and kind of taking all the money. But
yeah,
it's nothing like sport. How does it change? I guess that's the thing. Does it ever change, or does it need more people talking about it to make it change?
See, I don't know. That's what we've kind of talked about, because, that's what I've always said, like, of how do we get rid of these like dirty people? Yeah. But then first of all, the struggle is it's run by very powerful people. Again, which is why I'm like, I have to really pick and choose what I'm saying, because like genuinely concerned that like something could happen to me if I speak, like, and I say the wrong thing. And everybody's kind of connected. the president of the Olympic Committee is a former fencer, and is connected to some of these peoples in various different ways. So you just wonder where his allegiances lie, of whether you tell him and something changes, or you tell him and they get better at what they're doing.
Who is the president?
Thomas Bach.
Okay. Yeah, that's rough.
Yep.
So when you ref, what type of competitions do you ref in? Is it younger, older, or is it, how does it work with ages and things like that? Is it
so there's different levels, like there's like Y8, so like everything's like kind of 8 or under, then 10 and under, 12 and under, 14 under, 17 under, 20 under, blah blah blah. I kind of pick and choose now based off of pay. I used to like kind of ref everything when I was living in Jersey with my mom because I was just close to it. Now it's just kind of, I am making other money.
Yeah.
So I kind of I get to pick and choose. So I kind of stick to really college meets. Those are the most fun. The most like advanced fencing, and then obviously the best paying.
Yeah. How often are you training fencing wise? Do you do that every
Right now? I'm not
day?
training at all. I'm like I said, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to continue doing it. I don't really want to start doing it before I make that decision. I'm also not going to be motivated. Like I'm not a person that can, I don't know if there are people, I don't know how there are people that can do things just like for fun. I don't know how I can like go into fencing practice and just like, like whatever.
Yeah.
No, I'm coming in to beat everybody. That's how I'm with everything. Let's never play Monopoly, because either I'm going to throw the board, I'm going to curse you out, or whatever. So
I will fuck you up at Monopoly, hands down.
Well, I guess we're playing Monopoly. You're challenging the wrong person.
Or Risk.
One of the most competitive people that exist. So yeah, I just like, I don't know, if I can't decide that I want to do it, there's no reason for me to go to practice because I won't be motivated to do it anyway.
That's fair. Are you like that in all aspects of your life?
Unfortunately, yeah. So like even in school, like any subject that I was very interested in, like I was doing homework ahead of time, even though people were like I remember my anatomy book, they handed it to me and I filled it all out, and I was already studying way in advance. Psychology, same thing. And that's where all of my best grades were. If it was a subject that like, I mean, I tried always, but if I couldn't grasp and I couldn't get interested in, I really struggled. So whenever I'm passionate with anything, I'm 100% all in. And when I'm not, I'm just really struggling.
Yeah, I feel you with that. I think that is the competitive side of people, right? But it also means that you're going to be fucking amazing at something. And
I think you're right. I think that's kind of how it is, because I don't know, like again, if you're doing something 100%, how are you not going to be amazing at it?
Yeah, totally. And I think it's also it's being able to push yourself harder and know that you can still be better, and you can work so fucking hard, but you still know that you haven't reached the top. It's the same for me in music, is that like people can say you're like doing amazing, but deep down inside you know yourself that like you could be working harder and you could be better and things like that.
Which is, I think it's cool though too, because I feel like outside of people's opinions of me kind of just really don't matter. Like people are like, oh my God, you're so good. Like, oh my God, you killed it. And in my head, I'm like, that wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Or like people always laugh at like when I come back from like, so we have the pool rounds, and whenever I come back, unless I like just annihilate everybody with like great score, I come back like with this like, I'm thinking about like the mistakes that I made. So whenever you walk back, we're always afraid to ask you how you did, because you never look proud of yourself. I was like, oh, because I mean, I always could do better, right? Like I didn't beat everyone 5-0. There's mistakes that I made, like, you know, and little things that I did that could have cost me the match. So yeah, so it's always funny. Like it's never good enough internally for myself, but like people can compliment me. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, whatever.
How does that like affect your mental well-being though? When because like for me, like I put myself down more than anybody can put me down. And I know like let's say for instance, yesterday was Sunday. I had a show on Friday. Saturday I had a day off, which is weird having a day off when I'm touring. Like I had and I played in Detroit, which is where I live when I'm in the States. So I had like Saturday off, and then Sunday I also had off and was like felt shit. I had like a hernia operation a few weeks ago, so I can't train. I can't do anything. I didn't want to write music, and I just felt fucking awful because I was just being
Yeah.
lazy.
Yeah.
How is it for you though? Because you're like, everyone's watching you compete. Everyone's kind of there, and you want to be the best for yourself, but it's also that everyone's watching. And you know that if you're not as good that day, everyone's going to tell you, and then also it's like, well, hang on, I'm telling myself that I'm shit all the time anyway. How do you cope with that?
Not well.
Yeah.
I definitely like when I don't do well at a competition. I mean, I think social media is a blessing and a curse at the same time, because back when I was competing and there was no social media, I didn't have to report back. But like, people now know I go to a competition. Before, I just went and I came back and I didn't have to tell anybody how I did except my friends. I didn't have to tell like 100,000 people all over the world of like, yeah, I went to this competition and I fucking blew it. So that's just kind of always the hardest part for me to come back to, of like having to admit it. I don't know, for some reason, like when you put something on social media, it makes it real. Like when I didn't make Tokyo, like the day I put it on social media was the day that I sobbed again because it was real. Um, how do I deal with it? I don't know. I'm trying to think about that now. I've kind of decided that I'm gonna always take the day after and like the evening after I compete to wallow in my misery, be upset with myself. I just tell people like, don't speak to me, don't text me. Like, I'll text you when I'm ready, because otherwise, like, I'm just gonna be a bitch. Straight up, I'm not gonna even lie about it. Like, that's my time to be a bitch. I don't like. There's nothing you're gonna tell me that's gonna make me feel better. Like, saying you love me, I'm gonna respond with cool, but I don't love myself. Like, it's just, I take that time. That's my time. Let me be mad at myself, whatever. And then I come back after my day and a half, and that's when I go, okay, cool, do I still want to do this? Do I think I can improve? Can I learn from everything that happened? Yes. Great, we're gonna get back to work. We're done with the negativity, and now we're gonna, fix our mistakes and see how we can improve. And that's kind of, is it the best method? I don't know, but here we are.
If it works for you, it works for you. Hey,
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
I think
That's
so.
all that matters. Have you ever done like therapy with sport, like sports therapy, and like,
Yes, I have an amazing psychologist.
Yeah.
I would have never qualified for Rio if it wasn't for him. Dr. Doug Gardner.
How does that work? Like, what's that kind of relationship? Like, what do you go to them? The doc? Do you go to him? Her? I don't know what
him. No, we do phone calls because he lives in California.
Okay.
So we do phone calls. We got connected through a mutual friend, and we started working together. I mean, I've worked with different sports psychologists. Had one at Penn State who, actually, my current psychologist, he actually studied under, in which we didn't know beforehand. We like, when we had our conversation, He told me. So I guess it kind of makes sense that we clicked pretty well.
Yeah.
But you have to find the right fit for you. I mean, we had one, I'm not going to say where I work, like where she's from, but we worked together, and she just said, like, we're talking about like nerves, right? Like, that is a killing factor in any competition. If you're too nervous, you're too stiff, you're not breathing, you're not moving, game over. But I remember talking to her, and she's like, well, what do you think is like the biggest thing that holds you back? And I said, like the pressure I put on myself and the pressure I feel from others, and just being nervous. And she's like, oh, you can't, like, don't be nervous. And I heard that, I was like, what kind of bullshit is this? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, turn off the switch? Like, oh, Monica, turn off, like, stop being nervous. I was like, this is like some dumb, like, hippie shit of like, obviously I'm gonna be nervous. Like, I work my ass off. Like, I commit money into this, time, effort. Like, I've lost friends. I've lost, like, ended relationships because of this shit. Like, I don't know, to me, kind of logical. And then I started working with my psychologist, and we kind of ended up getting in that conversation. He's like, and then fuck anybody that tells you not to be nervous. Like, of course you're gonna be nervous. You care. And I was like, all right,
you're in.
You're my guy.
You're in.
Yeah.
Nerves. For me, nerves are so important. It keeps you on your toes, I feel.
Yeah.
But then there does come a point where, well, let's be honest, like, my nerves compared to your nerves, like, in the situations that we're in our careers, are completely different. Like, my nerves are like, if I'm going to press the wrong button, yours is a lot worse than mine. But I think, especially doing something that you love, if you lose the nerves, you should just stop. Personally,
I agree.
I don't think you should carry on, because it just, it doesn't feel like you've like got the passion in it when
Exactly.
you're
You don't
loose
care.
enough.
Like there's
Yeah.
been times where I think it gets harder because like the older you get, and I've talked to other athletes in different sports, and we've kind of all agreed that the older you get, the harder it is to compete because you
Hmm.
understand everything and you
Yeah.
have a lot of more comparison. And then certain situations are easier to compete. But so there's like been times where I'm in competitions and I'm like, I'm literally not nervous,
Mm.
which is like rare for me. But then I like get on the strip and then I start getting nervous. I'm like, okay, cool. Like at least I guess my body's like turning it on and
Yeah.
off. But yeah, no, I agree. If you're not nervous, like it means you don't give a shit because
Mm.
again, you're not committing time, effort, whatever energy into doing it.
Yeah.
It's logical. Whatever you're doing, you're gonna have some kind of nerves because you care.
Mm.
Like even going on a date, it like, I don't know, like, okay, I wouldn't say that I'm getting nervous going on dates now because I've been on so many. But then there's like times that like you generally like the person. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, you're kind of like what's gonna happen now? You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like you have like it feels different. If you walk away from that date being like, okay, cool, if I never see that person
Yeah.
again, whatever, you don't care.
Totally. How does it work with relationships and doing what you do? Because
Well,
this
I'm
is this.
single, so it doesn't.
No, but you know, like it's. I can imagine what we both do is like it's very similar situations where like you meet a lot of people, you're around a lot of people, but there's never really any like to hold a relationship down is practically impossible because you're just non-stop doing what you're doing or what you want to do. But also with family and friendships, how do you kind of deal with all of that?
First of all, I would say it's bullshit that it's impossible to make a relationship work. You definitely can.
Mhm.
It's about making it work in those situations. I think
Totally.
for normal people, I am a normal person, but like in normal
You're
careers, in
really
normal life.
unselling yourself right now.
Because I don't know. I don't think I'm anything exceptional. Like I'm just somebody that worked their ass off
Yeah.
and I got to where I am.
But that's
Um,
way more exceptional than most people.
yeah,
So
I guess.
yeah,
Whatever.
just putting that one in there.
I'm just saying it normal. Well, I'm
Okay.
normal.
Yeah.
For them it's easier because it's
Mm.
just like you have all the free time. Like
Mm.
it's not about making the relationship work. It just kind of can work, you know? There's like
Yeah.
not as many obstacles. But for us, like in our fields of where we have to, where we're constantly doing stuff, there's constantly a grind of getting better. It's about making it work, which I think ultimately I kind of like better anyway, because I don't want to be with somebody just because it can work. I want to be with somebody that wants to make it work with
Mm.
me. Because life isn't about like rainbows and puppies and rainbow like unicorns running around. Like there's like real shit out there. And if we can get through this kind of stuff, we can get through anything. And that's the kind of relationship and I want to be in. I've lost a lot of friends
Yeah.
along the way, but I don't know if I like lost, but they're just acquaintances versus friends. And that's okay. You're not meant to be friends with everybody. I would say like I have really quality friends now that I've
Yeah.
surrounded myself with, of just people that like you and we understand where we're at, right?
Mhm.
Like I won't ever question if you don't answer my call or my text
Yeah.
because you're busy and you'll get to me when you get to me. And not everybody understands that. So I've kind
Mm.
of surrounded myself with people that get that. And also other passionate people. Like that's the people I want to be around. I want to be, out to dinner with somebody that inspires me. I want to go home and be like, oh my God, like they're killing it in life and whatever
Yeah.
they're doing. Like I need to work harder
Mm.
to also be doing the same. And that's just kind of the mentality I've approached.
No, I totally agree. I think there comes a point when you can have friends that they just don't click with or anyone, any relationship. They're just not you. They're just not
Yeah.
like you, and they just don't have the same mindset. And it's fine, but sometimes they can get fucking draining when
Yep.
like people don't make changes in their life and
Yep.
constantly moaning and constantly like this, that, this, and it's like, come on, man, like sort your shit out. Like,
Yeah, and that's the kind of people that I just don't align with.
yeah,
We
totally.
have different things that we look for, different aspirations, and that's fine. Not everybody is going to be the same person, and then sometimes you just outgrow people. Like
Yeah.
people in high school kind of look at me like they've always looked at me like I'm this crazy person because literally from the moment like I mean from elementary school, but okay, obviously it was more established in high school. I was that weird girl that just like fenced and I barely was in school.
Yeah.
My senior year, they barely let me graduate because I missed like 60, 70 days of school. They knew ahead of time. So like I had to submit letters every time before I left. I was photocopying my textbooks and traveling with them that way.
Mm.
I was taking tests outside. And like I would show up to class, people like, where in the world were you this weekend?
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to be sick because I just didn't have sick days left.
Mm.
But like still people like when they see me, they're like, we always thought you were crazy. And like now we get why, because you're just always been above us. I'm like, first of all, let's not look at it that way. But, I've just been committed to things from the beginning. And I kind of, anybody that was in my way just didn't align with what I was doing.
Where do you think that comes from?
Honestly, I think people sell themselves short a lot of the times. I've like ever since I went to the Olympics and medaled, I've wanted to speak at schools, and especially like in my high school. I'm the only I'm the only medalist for my town,
Mm.
the second Olympian. But we have so many great athletes.
Yeah.
Why? And it's like again, like people always looked at me being like, what you're doing is impossible. And I was like, really? Is it? Or is that like what you have decided it is?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know, so many things like when you look at them, they seem impossible. Like, oh, but it's the people that decide they're going to do it anyway. Those are the people that are successful. So like, sure, like the things that I go for, I mean, I fail. Like there's things that I've tried to do and they just don't do well. I mean, I had a YouTube channel. It didn't grow. It's still out there. I did dumb videos, whatever. I had fun doing it. It didn't work, but okay, on to the next one. Something else I'm going to do is going to be possible, but I'm going to try it full force. And I think people will limit themselves deciding what is and isn't possible. And then they don't go after it.
Yeah. How long do you think you need to take to do something to get it good? Like, let's say, for instance, YouTube channel. Like, was it the fact that you wanted a YouTube channel, or was it the fact that you wanted to do the videos and just put them out there, or was it the fact that you wanted a big YouTube channel?
So for me, like, I guess it was like a mixture of all of them. I never needed a big following. But I just kind of wanted it worth my time. Like I was taking the time to create the ideas. I was taking time to film it, to edit it. And okay, some videos have like 5,000. If all of them had 5,000 views, I'd keep doing it. But some of them had 300. I was like, I did all this effort, all this time for just 300 people to watch this. Like, why? Like I can do something else and maybe this isn't for me. I just like, this is not enough, not incentive, but motivation for me to keep going. Like, I don't see like I'm doing enough.
That's fair. I feel that. So what's next? What's the next one that you're going to try and achieve?
So it's always funny because people always ask and want to know, but I've kind of learned that I like to move in silence.
Yeah.
So I don't like to tell people what I do now. I like to just post it and be like, hey, this is what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Is there something that I'm working on? Okay, I can say because it's kind of official. I haven't had the results from it yet, but I am going to work with a company for the next few months. We're making like a contract or project out of it right now, but I'm going to be working and doing their social media. So
cool.
Just kind of cool versus doing social media for myself. And now I'm going to try to apply what I've learned and do it for a company.
That's cool. So like consulting and kind of managing social media and things like that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Tokyo if you want to.
Yes.
I could gather in from what I'm kind of deciphering from what you said is Tokyo didn't happen for you. What were the reasons and how does it work, first of all? Like for somebody that doesn't know, going into Olympics, how does it work to get even qualified to compete?
So you have to qualify at certain tournaments. So 2 of our national tournaments count, and then 5 of our international tournaments count. So, and it's like based off of whoever does the best out of those, when I say 7 tournaments, determines the ranking for going into the Olympics. Mm-hmm. So this was not my plan for either Olympics, but first Olympics for Rio, same thing happened to me. I went off the best season I've ever had to having the shittiest season and barely making or not being able to make it a second day. Mm. And I was working harder. I had a psychologist. Like I was doing more of everything. Was not working. I can't even tell you what the fuck it was. Like, and I've talked to people of like with my coach, with my sports psych of like to my coach, I was like, am I performing worse? Like, and he's like, I don't know. And he kept saying like sports psych. And I was like, I got one. Like, we're trying. And I was like talking to my sports psych. I was like, what can I be doing more of? And that's kind of why I overtrained. Cause I was like, I mean, at least I'm going to be like the strongest like person out there. If I need to clobber people, I mean, I guess that's going to be my only other attempt left at this point. So I left it down to the wire. I left it down to the last 4 competitions. Nationally, I guess I couldn't gain that. No, I needed some points. So I think, no, that was 2019. No, you couldn't have, if I was fencing Mohammed, that couldn't be 2019.
Wasn't it?
Maybe it was, no, I don't think it can be.
Because
she retired after Rio.
Let me pull up when it was. It could have been.
While you do that, I'm gonna get my computer charger because we're gonna die here.
Let me. Here we go.
And now I'm curious. What?
2015. Yeah, you're right. Salt Lake City.
Yep, that was the tournament. Oh no, that was the one before. That was December. And then January is the one where I won.
Okay.
Yeah. I got second. Something like that. I had like some significant result that I like desperately needed. It'd be really nice if I can really find my charger. Whatever. We have 4% as of right now. Is that enough or do I need to get my...
Yeah, get your charger.
Okay.
What's your dog's name?
Pongo.
He's
very vocal, as you can hear.
So anybody that's listening now, if you want to see Monica fence, you can obviously just hit up YouTube. It's all on there. Found it?
Found it. I have like 6 of them, and I was hoping I could find the one that's in my room. Of course, no. All right. What were we asking about?
We were talking about the process of getting into
qualified.
Yeah.
Got it. So I left it down to the wire in Rio. So I needed to have like 4 exceptional results pretty much, and I somehow did. And then kind of I wanted to avoid that obviously for Tokyo. But did not work out that way, and it was also down to the wire. And then we competed. So we had 2 World Cups left, and I was in Europe. I was at a training or about to fly to a training camp. Then COVID hit, so everything was canceled.
Yeah,
we had no idea when anything else would happen. Obviously, each country was going through completely different things. Europe started training a lot sooner than we were. Like we hadn't competed. I hadn't competed since January 2020. And then they gave us a World Cup March 2021 when the Hungarians, for example, had 4 national tournaments. The Europeans were all the way at training camps. Like I went out to this tournament feeling like I was 14 again.
Okay.
Like everything was like all the women were out to murder me.
Yeah.
And I like literally could not keep up.
Okay.
And like I'm the biggest fighter out on the strip, and I was fighting, but like I was like eons away from them because they were training and I obviously hadn't trained. So I got demolished. So I didn't gain any points. And then we were supposed to have one more qualifier, but they canceled it because they had like 40 something COVID cases at this World Cup because no one gave a shit.
So then it's game over. How does that feel when that happens?
It was awful. It was hard to, wow, I didn't even know that I can still have like emotions about it. It just sucked because I don't like when I don't even have a chance to try. Like I'd rather go out, like even that awful tournament, I went out and I tried, I failed, but at least I had I had that opportunity, and just not having the opportunity just was brutal. Yeah. Like it seemed really shitty.
Especially when it's out of your power, isn't it? If it sounds like you like to control things and you like to, because you work so hard, and when it's completely out of your power, it's like, oh fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah, and I mean there are already so many things that are out of my power when it comes to like competing. Exactly. I mean, like who the referee is, who I'm fencing. I only have a little bit of say on that. But like this was, and people were like, oh, like you failed to qualify, and I was like, no, I didn't get a fucking chance to.
Yeah.
it'd be easier for me to say, yeah, I failed, but like I literally didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. During COVID, was training completely stopped? Like you just couldn't do anything. All the gyms were. How
Yep.
did you keep fit at all? I take it you did. Did you go out running?
Um,
Because you were in New
initially,
York, weren't
no.
you?
Initially, I was pretty depressed.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. Because I went from like I said, training every single day, lifting at the gym, um, running, all that stuff, and I was limited to being outside. That was it. So I had a really hard time, and also like the unknown was the hardest thing ever for me.
Yeah.
I'm a lot better nowadays through that. So like, I guess a blessing in disguise if we're gonna look through the positives. I've always known everything that I was gonna do. I knew what my day looks like. I know what my week looks like. The month, next month. I mean, you make plans for 4 years in advance for the Olympics, right? I have that one goal, and I know I have these things that I have to accomplish in the process. Here, I had no idea. I had no idea what tomorrow looks like. I don't know, like if the world opens. I don't know if the world literally just like ends. We all drop dead. We knew nothing. So that was really hard for me initially. And like there was days that the only reason I got out of bed was to walk my dog. Otherwise, I don't think I would have gotten up. And then I got my ass into gear and I went running every single day, et cetera, et cetera. Definitely not in the best shape of my life anymore. We're working back to that one. Rough.
That is the roughest. That is the roughest when you've been the best shape of your life and then you lose it, and then you're like, oh fuck, I know how hard I worked, and I've got to work even harder because now I'm older. Now it hurts more waking up. It's fucking not fun. It's really not fun.
I just have an 8-pack. I'm lucky nowadays if I have a 2-pack. So
food is so good, so much better though.
It's so good. It's so good.
You're in New York as well. It's the best food in the world.
God, the best restaurants, any option you want. I know.
Where's your favorite place? Oh, have you been to Tong in Brooklyn?
No.
Oh my God, you have to go. Do you like Thai food?
Yeah.
Best Thai food I've had in America. I've not been to Thailand, but from around the world, it's the best Thai food I've ever had.
What neighborhood is it
in? Bushwick.
Tong, Tong.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I was there like a couple of months ago.
Okay, it's on my list.
It's very good.
My favorite, honestly, I think Thursday Kitchen is my favorite.
Oh, where's that?
I think it's in Alphabet City, if not East Village. It's Korean. Well, it's like Korean fusion. So they have gnocchi.
Okay.
But it's like got that like Korean kick to it. Their steak. I always want to just lick the plate. But it's like frowned upon, and it comes in like a small cast iron pot, so I'd probably burn my mouth. But like legitimately, I'm like sitting there like scraping. They come with these cheesy grits, and I'm not even a grit girl, but these grits are so good.
Korean grits.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Phenomenal. They have edamame dumplings. Phenomenal.
You're gonna have to send me the Instagram for this. I'm in New York in a couple of weeks. I've taken like 5 days out to like just chill, and I got loads of friends coming into town. So
amazing.
I need to get a list of food places.
I'll send them all to you.
Please do.
I'll give you that list.
Yeah, going back to that Tokyo thing.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how it feels to work your whole life, or 4 years. You're planning 4 years ahead of everything. Like for me, we're planning 6 months, maybe a year in advance. But realistically, I know that whatever those plans are made, it's going to happen. It's not like I have to work super hard and I have to achieve something to then go and do that. How does it must be really hard being like, is there anything else in fencing that is as big as the Olympics? Is there like something that, yeah, because I guess it's like if you're working just for that every 4 years, it can kind of be pretty demoralizing if you don't get through.
Yep. I mean, you have world championships in there every year, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not, is it? Because you don't hear about it.
It's the magic of like it's every 4 years. So it makes it like super duper elite. Like, yes, making world championships is a big deal, but like you don't make them this year, you'll make them next year.
Yeah.
No big deal. Yeah. But like every 4 years, That's a lot. I mean, and it's like when you look at it, when you're starting, okay, when you're like 18 making, like trying to make the first ones, you're like, oh, whatever. I'll be
Yeah.
22 for the next ones. No big deal. But like once you're like mid 20s,
Yeah.
it's like, shit, can I make the next one? Like, will my body survive? That's a lot. It's a lot to ask.
Yeah, that's rough. That is rough. I can't even imagine it. Because for me, for our industry, it's the opposite way around. It's like generally people in there, you start in your like teens, you're shit for a long time. And then you get to a point in your like mid 30s, early 40s when you're extremely successful.
Yeah.
And it takes, you kind of have to mature into it. Don't get me wrong, you obviously get the, the like side shoots of younger kids kind of becoming super successful.
Yeah. Like, what is the name? Marvin Garrix.
Martin Garrix, yeah, he was young. There's
He was
some,
like 18.
he was super young when he started. Like Billie Eilish, look at Billie Eilish. Like,
Oh, yeah.
could you imagine being that famous that young?
No,
Fuck that.
that's terrible. And I mean, she's already gone through a lot.
Yeah, right. I love her music though. It's great.
Same.
Do you go out partying in New York a lot, or are you not allowed to?
No, I mean, I do sometimes. I
Yeah,
wouldn't call it partying anymore. I don't have it in me. I like to like if I do go out, it's I go out because I know the DJ and I
yeah,
can sit at the table next to the DJ booth. That is the extent of my partying.
yeah. No, that's fair. New York's fun for that. You've
Yeah.
got a lot of options. Um, we've just done like an hour. We should probably wrap it up.
I mean, it's up to you. You're the one that has to deal with editing and all that
I
stuff.
literally don't edit it. It's like literally just one conversation.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
So that's
it's
easy
really
then.
easy, super easy. How can people follow you? How can people get in touch? How can people listen to your podcast? Are you still doing the podcast regularly, or is that something that,
I'm trying to, but life, a lot of things happen. Like
yeah,
our family dog passed away 2 weeks
I'm
ago, and it's
sorry.
been a little rough
Yeah.
to find the motivation to do that.
Mm,
And then like when the Olympics were happening, people not qualifying, people qualifying, that also made it difficult to connect with athletes.
mm.
I still want to do it. I still really enjoy it. It's just getting a little bit harder to do.
No, I feel you.
But there's still episodes coming.
I think the thing for me with the podcast is like, I don't know about you, but I don't have any expectations for it. It's just, I just like talking to people.
Same. I love it. Like I think initially I kind of did have expectations
Yeah.
for it, but it's like I've been able to connect and talk to people, like people that are like my social media friends, like Lindsay Vaughn and I follow each other. Like we've met at an event, but we never had a chance to like have a real conversation, and like
Totally.
sitting down talking to her like blew me away, like having that opportunity. So people are more likely to talk to you if you had a podcast. So I like it for that reason.
Yeah, it's nice to connect with people. And I think it's also like I started during COVID and there was
Same.
no one was having long conversations. Like
Yeah.
I spoke to my super close mates, but not like anybody in my industry or anybody outside of my industry. I wasn't really having long conversations with anyone. And we don't really have long conversations nowadays. It's like there's always external kind of things happening. Like even if you're in a restaurant, someone's on their phone, someone else is talking next to you. Like you can never sit down and have like a full on conversation with somebody with no distractions at all. I think it's really important that
I think you need to stop telling your friends to put their phone down.
yeah, this is true. We're all just as
That's what
bad
I
as each
do.
other.
Even like when I'm out, my friend kept texting this guy, and I was like, "Is he here? He's not here. Put your goddamn phone away." She's like, "Okay, one last text." And I was like, "No, he knows you're out. He can wait."
What
She's
is
like,
that? What is that? We want everything nowadays.
"Yeah,
What
yep,
is
that's our generation. That's what's going on."
how has it gone like that though? Because how old are you now?
I'm 18. What do you mean?
Did you grow up? You didn't grow up with social media, right?
No.
No.
Oh, with MySpace. I mean, I had it in my
MySpace, yeah.
teens.
Did you grow up with MSN Messenger?
I think I dabbled in some MSN, but I did AIM.
AIM. Oh yeah, you're American, aren't you? MSN was
Yeah.
big in the UK. AIM was American.
Yeah, we did have AIM
Yeah.
at some point. I don't know, middle school.
Mm. Yeah, it's the
Middle school, high school.
same for me because it's weird though now. Could you imagine growing up with Instagram being like the one and TikTok and all of that?
No, I'm so glad. Like, and I've been talking to a lot of people about this. I'm so glad I'm not growing up in this generation.
Yeah.
because like it's what you're saying, like people don't have real conversations, everything like boom boom boom. Like I mean, couldn't even upload photos online with our phone.
It would take so long to download a photo.
Yes, or like dial up.
Oh my god! And then your mom or your
You
dad.
couldn't be on the computer if
Yeah.
your mom wanted to be on the phone. You got kicked off. You had to hear that. I remember I played that terrible sound for my sister, and to me, I was like, "Oh, the memories." And she's like, "Ow, God, turn it off." I had to listen to this every day, like multiple times a day.
All the time, dial up, and then your mum would shout at you if she picked up the phone because she needed to use it, and
Like,
then
you're on the goddamn internet again. Get off.
yeah, and then the internet, and then broadband came in, and then it was game over.
Oh, game changer.
Absolute game changer.
Now we have Wi-Fi.
And now
Again, now you can take a photo and upload it. I remember like you had to, what was it for Instagram initially with my flip phone that I had? You had to like text it to Instagram, I think.
Did you? I didn't have it that early. Mine
It was something weird like that where you couldn't, or maybe it was to Facebook before Instagram. But I remember like you would take it and you had to like text it to a number. Something like that, something along those lines.
Oh, it sucks. Do you like social media though?
I love it and hate it.
Yeah.
Like it connects me to amazing people, people that I would never be able to meet. I mean, I can entertain people as well. I mean, like my job is social media and I can do it from anywhere in the world, which is that's incredible. But at the same time, I mean, like the amount of trolls is awful. And like the judgment and the opinions that like you're not asking for from complete strangers is just, and you're inviting it with every single post.
I was going to say, do you get a lot of that? Because I think our worlds are a little bit different on that. Like, do you get a lot of people kind of giving shit on social media or just giving opinion? Yeah.
I mean, it happens in phases. I had a lot after the Olympics. A lot of people were hating.
Why though?
Because they hate their lives. So why not why not bring down other people that are successful?
Do you read the comments?
It depends. I'm unfortunately very curious. I'm always like, let's see what this dumbass has to say. And I love to clap back, which actually lately kind of has, okay, not always, but like I've had 2 instances where I was shocked, where it was like that video that I made for TikTok of, and I put it on Reels of just the differences in amount of money for medals. And people were like, what, you want my taxes to go to that? And I was like, no, like give your taxes to the $3 trillion or the trillions of dollars going towards war. Yeah. That's definitely better, more beneficial. But people were like ripping me apart of like, why don't you get a job? Like you lazy piece of shit, something. And I just like, sometimes like I'll clap back and put people down. Well, not down, but like be like, okay, but you're really saying this because you don't have a medal. Like, I don't understand why you're even speaking. But this one guy, I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, you're in such a bad place where you need to be coming at a complete stranger to tear them down.
Yeah.
Like, hate to tell you, like, honestly, like a complete stranger's opinion of me really does nothing to me. So like, that sucks, but like wishing you peace and love. And like, I had an interaction with this one guy for like 5-6 comments. And then he DM'd me like an hour or 2 later and he was like, hey, I just wanted to apologize. Like I've had a really fucking horrible week. Not that this is an excuse, but like I saw your video and I just like anger just filled me. And he's like, my dog has to go get surgery, something, whatever. And he's like, you really like nothing had to do with you. And I'm so sorry. And I was like, first of all, shocked that he like came back to apologize. And I was like, but this is how we know this is. Like people are just miserable in their lives, whatever's going on. And they just take it out on others because you feel like somebody is across the room or like across the world and they're just like another phone and you don't realize that other people have feelings.
Yeah, it's rough, isn't it? I don't have it often. I've had it like once where some dude would always like say awful stuff on my post and I DM'd him and was like, mate, I don't know what your issue is, but whatever you're saying, it's actually not getting to me. Like, so I just don't see the point in what you're doing. He was like, oh, I'm just having a laugh. And I was like, first of all, you don't know me. Second of all, I can deal with this. But if you're doing this to other people, you're going to really hurt someone. Yeah. And you really need to think like before you talk, before you say something. And he was like, I've never thought about it like that. I'm really sorry. And I
also think people don't think about it as well. But like same thing, like when it happens to me, I'm like, I'm grateful it's me because it really
Yeah.
really does nothing to me. Like, it's not like I think about it, lose sleep over it. I laugh, if anything, or I clap back. Like, some guy said something like, this is my favorite TikTok clap back. It got so many views. Like, okay, it seemed a little cocky, but at the same, I don't know how I would have responded to this guy anyway. Basically, it was like the whole medal thing. And I said, and he said, like, oh, like something about a lot. Hold on, we're here. His comment was, I said, like, I know from personal experience how much people make for medals. And he said, personal experience. Did you sell or buy one? Google. LOL, why not just admit you made this all up? Why lie? And I said, I made one of like, I held up my medal and I was like, actually, I won this. I didn't buy it. And like, it is personal experience, but you wouldn't be talking if you had one as well. And people are like, savage. And I'm like, well, like, what else do you say to dumb people like that?
There is too much. The internet is a wonderful thing. Like, the internet, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. We wouldn't have met a lot of people that we've met.
Yeah.
And for me, there's a lot more positives, but there's a fucking lot of dickheads on there as well.
Yep. And that's where they feel like they're free to roam and say whatever they want and put their opinions out there. And you say anything, they're like, well, it's a free country and I can say whatever I want. Yeah, but you don't need to like bring other people down and be shitty.
Yeah, totally. What have you got on the rest of the week? Anything fun?
Just figuring life out. I have some campaigns I have to do. So to do content for that, I'm starting this job. So a lot more research from the brand aspect. I have to find a new apartment. I think that's the biggest stress of all this.
Where are you thinking of going?
I want to stay in this area for sure.
I miss I miss living there so much. I fucking love New York. It's just too expensive.
It is, but isn't. Like, if you have to play around and find something good, you can find something for a good price, but it's just a lot of searching.
Yeah. For me, is like, I just am never there.
Right.
So like, I always have like a base, but for me to not be there and still pay the New York like rent, I'm just like, this is just pointless. It's just a waste of money. Because I'm there like.
You could also just buy a condo.
Yeah, I could, and I thought about it. I've thought about it recently because I'm looking at leaving. I'm not looking at leaving Detroit, but I want to have somewhere else, and I can't have a studio in a condo because it's like.
Well, unless you do like really good sound.
Yeah, I need to look at it. I do need to look at it because
there's one that I'm looking at.
You looking at?
I just don't have enough for the down payment. I'm like a little bit off.
Yeah.
But monthly payments would be like a little over $2,000. It's a 2-bedroom. Yeah. My friend and I want to move in together. So I pay $1,000. My friend pays $1,000, and I'm just paying off my mortgage.
Yeah, it's the most. I think everyone should buy a house, especially in what we do. The earlier you can buy a place, the better it is, because you have like. What's the word? Like, paying your mortgage is generally always less than paying rent anyway.
Yeah, because you're owning it. Yeah, I'm paying someone else's mortgage.
Yeah, and making some, like New York, people are making a shit ton of money as well, because a lot of the buildings were bought and paid for years ago.
For like $1.
Yeah, it's crazy. Right, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much. How can people follow you on Instagram, TikTok, all the good stuff?
So all my social media handles are all just Monica Aksamit, my first and last name. My podcast is On the Fence with Monica Aksamit. Basically, if you know my first and last name, you can find me anywhere.
Sick. Thanks so much for coming on. I really enjoyed this. It was good. It was good fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. And that is a wrap. Thank you so much to Monica for coming on. It was really good. Hope you all enjoyed it. Keep safe. Share the podcast. Also, don't forget, if you want to win some tickets to LA or win some tickets to a show, lnk.to/searchingcomp, which is SEARCHINGCOMP. Big love. Keep safe.